Hello and welcome to Impact Network, brought to you by India is our Social Foundation. I'm Pooja Grover Bhatnagar. It is my pleasure to introduce to you today Mr. Arun Gupta. Mr. Gupta is the founder of Pinkishe Foundation. Established in 2017, Pinkish works towards bringing menstrual health and hygiene to women and girls across the country, across economic strata. For its tremendous work, the foundation has won the Mahatma Award 2022. A largely volunteer-driven organization, Pinkish can count as one of its supporters none other than Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. Thank you for joining.
It's absolutely a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm excited to kind of talk to you, to your audience. It's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are excited to learn so much from your experience. One of the biggest things about you is that you dropped a very successful and a very long professional career in the pursuit of your ambition to bring menstrual awareness and hygiene to women and adolescent girls across India. And you've been working to make it a mainstream talk. So, what made you give up everything in your corporate life and devote everything to this cause?
So that's a story, and I would say I was pushed into it. Pushed into it by my daughter, who was 16 years old at that point in time. We started with some 5.5 years back. And it started with, so one day we had this household help who brought her adolescent daughter along. And my daughter, who was 16 years old at that point in time, Khyati, she noticed a blood spot on her dress. And she went to her and checked with her, and she then came to me. And she said, she's not even wearing a sanitary pad. And I talked to her and she said, I don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt. Your daughter came and spoke to you.
Yeah.
That is so unusual because menstruation and conversations around this topic are a huge taboo in the country for most families. And even advertisements shy away from directly talking about menstrual products and depicting menstrual blood in blue color, or you have wrapping of the menstrual packages in newspaper in these chemist shops. So I'm curious now, how is it that your daughter was so comfortable to approach you for a topic like this? How did you have this comfort for your children at home?
Well, it kind of runs in the family. In our immediate family, I am surrounded by women. I'm the only male in the house. I have two daughters. And typically, I think that's how we raised our family, that everybody's kind of very open about things. And I always wanted it to be that way, right? So that the girls do not shy, because in our families, we have seen a bit of patriarchy, and the women were kind of used to do parda, and I would always think, why is that, right? So even I remember when my daughters, they got their first periods. So first one when she got it, so I heard my wife kind of talking to her, and I thought she's not telling her enough. And then I said, you move aside, I will tell her all things.
Okay.
So anyhow, I was the one who explained menstruation, what to do, or everything to her.
Okay.
So everybody is kind of comfortable, and I think.
So I think that played a huge part. Like you
Yes.
leading the conversation as a parent,
Yes.
you set the atmosphere of comfort for the child, and so you can approach me for this topic.
Yes.
So I think majorly it is about how the parents approach this topic,
Yes,
and that
parents have
makes
a huge
kids
role.
comfortable.
Absolutely. Gone are the days when there used to be no conversation in the family, and the fathers would keep away, the sons would not know about things. I was subjected to that when I was kind of growing up. In our family, things would not be discussed. Talking about menstruation, I remember I was in class 8 to 9, and so there was this TV which has started coming in India, and everybody will kind of watch it together. Your
Yeah.
neighbors will come home, they'll watch together. And that time we used to see all these sanitary napkin ads, and at that age, I did not know anything about that.
Right.
But then I would see every time there's a sanitary pad ad, there would be a silence, there would be a bit of discomfort,
People
and
change
everybody
the channel.
yeah, so everybody will start. My mother will start cutting the vegetable with a lot more pressure, and you'll sense that. And I wanted to know, but then I could not gather the courage to ask them for some reason.
Because you sense that in the air that, elders are also not comfortable. So
Absolutely.
as children you mimic it. I think.
Yes. And it took me 1 to 2 years to gather that courage, and one day I asked them. And there was an eerie silence. Everybody was kind of shocked. And my mother and my sister looked at me like, what question did I ask? And nobody responded to me. And I felt very bad.
Right.
What did I ask? They said, what did I ask? And it remained. You would believe it.
So a stigma was created right there.
Right
in a
there.
sense. Yeah.
And it's after my marriage I came to know what menstruation is. But just imagine, it's not too long. It's 25 years.
Yeah.
Right? And I always felt I was a victim of this. Why did not they tell me? If they would not tell me, if my mothers won't tell me, if my sisters are not comfortable disclosing it, how would I know? Right? And then and then boys are blamed for everything. And that stayed with me, but it sort of died down. But when I had 2 daughters, I made a point that I don't want that in my family. I'll be open, they should be able to discuss everything. And there's a whole lot, the society is changing, there's a whole lot of discussion on women empowerment and everything, and kind of that helped. So now that you're asking me, I'm thinking about it, but otherwise it has been kind of a very open and normal thing in a family, because I don't feel I did anything special. I think a lot of other families also are doing that, but I'm glad that we're doing it.
Yes, and I think it's a whole cultural thing that feeds into itself, because the parents never taught the children. So when they become parents, they do not, even if they want to, they do not know how to initiate this topic, what to speak, how much information, and at what age to provide to your child.
Exactly.
So I think that is where organizations such as yourself are doing a major service in, maybe working with the specialists and just a lot of people, putting data together and teaching people on this subject, so that the next generation that comes is far more comfortable about this.
Absolutely, because if lot more conversations happen, eventually the whole taboos and the stigma and shame, if that goes off, because today what is happening is only women, because they do not converse about it, they get these diseases and everything, and nobody talks about it, and they start taking serious shapes. You go to the hinterland, rural India, and still there's a huge number of girls who are taken out of school as soon as they hit puberty. So all those problems are there, and that needs to change. You're absolutely right, and that's what we're trying to do.
So one of the very amazing things that you've been able to achieve in the pursuit of this objective is how quickly you were able to align volunteers to your cause.
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning earlier, that one of the first platforms that you put yourself on was Facebook.
Right.
And you have this huge number of volunteers, lakhs, within a matter of few months.
Yes.
So, I think there is a lot of learning there for our audience, and we would love to understand from you what were some of the key steps you took to garner that kind of support so quickly.
So first of all, we thought, see, generally humans are good. We see a lot of negativity around us, and we always kind of get worried about that, bothered by that. But the fact of the matter is, I'm a firm believer that humans are good, and everybody wants to contribute. You just need to go there, find people, and ask them, right? When they see the right cause, when they see the right intentions, they connect. So when we started Pinkishe, what we did was, we wanted to make a large impact. We wanted, this is a huge problem, and larger effort was needed. So what we did was, we thought, who are the people who are impacted by this? Why can't we go to them and make them a part of our journey, make them a part of who will change? So we went to the ordinary, normal women of India, and we said, menstruation is a problem that you have been struggling with. Do you want your daughters, everybody around, to kind of continue struggling with? Why don't you rise up, join hands with us, and let us take to the ground and let us do things? Every time, normally what happens is we look at the government, that the government will do this. See, government is limited number of people, and they have to do a whole lot of things. If people start taking things in their own hands and start making a difference, it works. So that's what we did. We talked to the people, we went to them, and we said, would you want to be part of the day? Initially, yes, people were shy, but then when few people started coming in, they would pull a lot of other people. So we created we see this network marketing. We created that to kind of add more people. So I'll add you, you will talk to another 10 women and say, would you also? We started with 2 people in May of 2017. By December of 2017, we were 2 lakh women altogether. right? And they become our volunteers. Suddenly, overnight, we started operating in whole of India in around 50 locations, right from Kashmir to down south, east and west. That's how we started. And a lot of other NGOs, they also, once you're asking it, I think they can go to the people. Get volunteers, right? Talk to them about their cause. You'll find those passionate people, and then you'll be able to impact at a scale. That's what we did. It was successful for us, and if other people can kind of take any cue out of that, we'll be very happy.
Absolutely. But I think one of the amazing things is the corporate experience that you bring across to the development sector. And I think your amazing success with volunteers relies heavily on how effectively you've managed everything in terms of managing your organization very professionally, defining roles and responsibilities for everyone. Just being very corporate in essence. So, tell us about how is it that you've been able to get the best out of your volunteers? Because in my experience, a lot of times there's a huge gap in intention and action. So people will say, okay, I feel for this cause, I want to give my time to it, but they will probably also sign up with an NGO. But when it actually comes to delivering, because something or the other in their life comes in between. So how are you able to help people get over that kind of obstacles and be more contributing?
So many things. Yes, and corporate experience did help. So when I see a corporate, I see a structure, right? I see people kind of taking up responsibilities, different. And that's what we did. We structured our people, right? So we had somebody who's taking care of HR, whether they had never done it.
Okay.
We kind of trained them. Second thing is skilling them, giving them the basics of the idea and what the role requires, right? And so we created a structure, put in people there. We respected the people and we trusted in their abilities, right? So humans have a huge, amazing capability. When somebody trusts in them, when they are kind of given and they know that everybody around me is kind of trusting me and I have to deliver this because other people also are waiting for my inputs.
Okay.
Then they started. And the thing is, that whole skilling thing again and again. So we have different meetings scheduled, we do training of people, and slowly people are doing this. And in this whole process, we maintain a very positive atmosphere. Pinkishe is a very, very positive organization. So every time somebody does something good, there are hundreds of people to clap for them, and that gives you motivation. So typically, when somebody motivates you, when somebody says, yes, you did a good work, this is a good contribution, right? You want to do more, right? So these are typical few things. The structure, I would say, skilling and training, I would say. You keep on giving people that you go do this training. Now there's huge internet, there's YouTube, there are so many learning things which are available. And that has been working, right?
Okay. And a lot of ownership also that you would give to individuals and recognition.
Exactly. I think ownership is the key there, right?
Okay.
So, and we have amazing people. In the sense, people who have never done things like those. We have so many stories, okay? And they coming up, so like our whole MIS is maintained by a small team, headed by a lady who had never ever worked on that. She did not have a computer. But now, everybody from all over India kind of shares things on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is our office, right?
Okay.
That's where everybody is there. We have structured groups. We have 25 teams, right, of different projects and different functions. And then, like suppose MIS, so there all the different streams, the managers will be there. Whatever they do on the ground, they kind of share the things up. Our central team, the record keeping team will maintain the Excels, right? We have data right from day one, so we have distributed more than 5 million pads, but everything is recorded. Most people are doing it who have never done that, and they do it so diligently and with a lot of exuberance and everything. Makes us very happy, proud, satisfied.
I think that is one of the highlights of your achievements as an NGO. Not only have you grown so quickly in the short span of 5 years, you've done so relying essentially on volunteers.
Yes.
And to be able to get so much out of a volunteer who would typically, not have that much of typically accountability. Because you know how you see a regular job versus how you see a donation of your time or effort is vastly different. So to inculcate that in your volunteers is huge achievement.
And these things help. I'll tell you honestly, while there are always those volunteers who come charged up and who won't be able to kind of contribute that much, but the other people who have stayed and who are here, there are students who came for 2 months of internship, and we have many of them who have stuck around and who are there, who have become managers in the organization, handling things, whether it's HR function or things. So we're always kind of very thoughtful that they should also get a value out of it.
Right.
They should be growing, they should be learning, right?
Okay.
Of course, the recognition, small rewards, and these rewards are just grabs, right? So they do it. And I think lot of so even we rely a lot on interns. So we are very heavy believer. I am a very personally very strong believer that youth are amazing. Today's youth, they know things, they want to do things, they change things.
Yes.
So they come and we kind of give them complete landscape. Do your things. We learn from them. So I think one of the speciality in our organization is that almost everybody knows that everybody is respected. Somebody with 20 years of experience, somebody with 2 months of experience, they're all at same level. And we always kind of say this to our management, senior management, everything. Ask them, learn from them. They will tell you how to do this and let them do it. In the process, we learn from the youth. Right. I think that's another reason for our whatever little success, if somebody can use that word.
Definitely. Yeah. So you've mentioned how volunteers have been one of your biggest strengths and been able to harness the best out of the volunteer resources that you have by giving them clear responsibilities and also by defining clear growth path for them within the organization in terms of bigger responsibilities and higher accountabilities as they grow older in the system. So tell us more about the blueprint for this and how you've been able to implement it on ground.
So I don't know what is the blueprint, but it's kind of simple in the sense, as I said, first we kind of trust them, train them, give them the identities, give them more and more responsibilities, and be patient with everybody. Kind of. So there's no blueprint as such. It's just that humans intrinsically, I believe, have a tremendous will and power to do things. Anybody can change the world if they believe that they can do that. We have countless such stories. So all these people, we just हम उनको बड़ा बनाते हैं. We just think at the management level that how we can enable them to do the things that they want to do. So we try to understand their problems. We have these regular team meetings. We do a lot of fun also. So we have something called a camaraderie ghetto, right? Every month, everybody gets together. We go on Zoom and everything because everybody is kind of located in wherever they are.
Right.
And I think 99% of people we have never met personally, right? But we sing songs. Anybody, if they can write 2 lines of poetry, they are encouraged to kind of share those and everybody claps for it. So see, humans by nature like appreciation, I believe, right?
Sure.
I would like at whatever age to somebody who appreciates me, I would feel happy, and everybody wants to. जो हम ये पूरी मुझे मतलब मानता है कि हम लोग करते रहते हैं कि we have to earn more money, I have to buy a bigger car, and the whole idea is when I have a bigger car, somebody will look at me and they'll say, wow, rich man, successful man. I believe success is not only determined by that. Eventually, end of the thing is you want other people to appreciate you. So when people do selfless good work, the kind of unadulterated appreciation they get and the feeling of happiness and everything. Okay. A lot of places like the non-profit sector, there are people who believe that non-profits, what happens to our money? Are they doing the right thing? But the fact of the matter is, when people are doing the right thing and they showcase it to the people, and then when the same donors and people appreciate you, I think there's a lot of power that you get. So that has been working. And people who came to us, very simple people who have never done things that they are currently doing, all our managers, directors are volunteers, and trust me, they do things with more passion than a lot of people in the corporate industry who are paid heavily for that.
Right.
I'm doing that. So just these simple things.
Because I think when you're working for a cause that's close to your heart, and you're not working for money, you don't apply that equity theory, so to say, that okay, this is how much I'm being paid, so this is how much I'll work. You're just doing it for that reward of doing good and seeing better.
I think people are very smart. The important thing is they can very easily judge what is the real purpose of this organization. Are they true to it, right? If suppose I am not true to the cause and the organization that I am doing, everybody will sense it in a moment and they'll just disperse.
Right.
So I think the biggest reason is that if you are true to the cause, and then the people, because they are watching you all the time, they're seeing every single activity, they can read everything, whatever you believe, you can't fool people, nobody can.
Definitely.
Right? They'll learn it, they'll see it, they'll decipher, they'll make their own impressions. And if you're doing the right thing, then those who want to those who are passionate about this cause, they'll stay.
And I think, like you mentioned, that you pay a lot of attention to also skilling your volunteers and training. So that's also again something very corporate that you've inculcated in your organization.
Yes.
And what it also does is that being in an enabling environment, sometimes as an individual you surprise yourself. Okay, I have this in me. I know that's very empowering and that's a very strong positive loop. You try even harder and you do even better the next time. So I think that is tremendous, and a lot of other introductions from your corporate practice of clear assignment of responsibilities, introduction of a clear growth path, and team building activities that you do. I think that there's a lot of small little steps that you're taking, which is making you, as an organization, so different and so effective in harnessing the full potential of the volunteers. Which is not only good for your organization, but also the people involved with the organization. They grow with you and they grow as individuals, and they develop this strong sense of identity, and there's so much intrinsic reward in it. So now I again sort of pulled back to the question we started with. You did actually quit your corporate job and altogether throw yourself into this, bringing all of your learnings across. So just tell us how big and drastic the move was for you, just quitting a full-time job in an MNC and getting into the social sector.
Of course, a big step, right? You have to take care of your family, you are earning money, and then suddenly you get into a phase where you're not earning anything.
Right.
And still kind of putting so much of effort and everything. And I think some of it, and I kind of shifted at a phase in my life, personally talking about myself, when I had kind of earned my things. And the thing is, yes, one can be very greedy and one can kind of continue to elevate your life in terms of the number of possessions you have, the social position, the corporate position. But on the other hand, the same kind of satisfaction can be taken from other things. Today you are doing my interview, right? I must have been kind of doing certain things. This is also a testament of the fact that we are doing good things and I'm feeling good about it, right? You're a team. So these kind of small things also matter. And that's how you're going. So yes.
So was there any reservations and objections from friends and family, leaving such a great career path?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody was against it.
Did it not put doubts in your mind at that moment that should I really be doing this? Am I doing something wrong?
So the only difference was that I did not have any doubt.
Okay.
Everybody around me had it. So I, even to an extent, cut myself off from a lot of people. And I said, let me kind of concentrate on the work. I am absolutely sure what I'm doing. I'll continue to do that. And one day everybody would realize. And it did not take a lot of time.
But that is a lot of conviction now.
Yes.
Yes.
Conviction, patience, perseverance. We keep on hearing these words all the time. But these are critical. These are really, really critical in anything that you do. I'm a very firm believer. If you choose to do anything, just go after it, have the conviction, be patient, take rejection easily, learn from it, take failure easily because it's going to teach you things. And continue. Things are going to happen. It's going to take some time. So whether somebody wants to be an IAS officer, whether somebody in a rural village, a small kid, I talk to them and they have such high aspirations and dreams. And it's tell them just go after it, right? And that's what people have. I follow, say, our ex, Prime President Abdul Kalam Azad, Narayan Murthy, and all these leaders. You have so much to learn from them because wherever they have reached because of certain exceptional qualities. But when you analyze them more, you realize those exceptional qualities are very simple qualities. These are people with hope, these are people with passion, these are people with conviction, with perseverance, with purity, with truthfulness. You need to be truthful to what you want. You can't say something and do something else, or you can't want something else and do something else. And if that works, I think everything starts working in your favor and things happen.
Right. So I think this intense focus you also ensure in your branding and communication for your organization. Like you have a very focused communication of the key objective, which is bringing menstrual health and awareness to the women folk across the country. But there's so many ancillary activities you do around this to build strength for the main objective. But you're mentioning earlier how you just make sure to communicate only a very crisp and clear image of the organization. So tell us a little bit more. We'd learn to learn from
It's
that.
wonderful that you noticed that. I'm surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised. Yeah. So we do a lot of things in our organization. And we overall kind of work towards all around women empowerment and things. But people around know us for menstrual health and hygiene. So that's our number one cause, that's our flagship projects, that's what we do. When we started, we thought this is a subject maybe everybody will not kind of synchronize with, resonate with. What do we do? So we have other programs, like we have a community scare, where we do a lot of good things, and there's something called a Punya Kadasha project, where we ask people just to share a good deed that they did whenever. So even if you are kind of in your balcony, you're putting some water for a bird, we kind of help them, we clap for that, and they feel good about it, they share it, and a lot more people get to know about Pinkish. We have a program called Swara, right? Where we invite poets, and every week we do a live poetry show or a ghazal show. In a way, we are building nation also, language also, culture also. But every time some other guest comes, they also take our message. We just request them one thing that we are giving to the stage. Our request is take the message of menstrual health and hygiene to the ones that you know. If you do that, you are giving us back. So there's no currency exchange. There's a barter of good things. You give me a good thing, I'll give you a good thing.
Yeah. So bigger network for the good message to be.
Yes. We do something called Pink Talk every other day, and where we invite doctors who come and who kind of give you free advices on how to manage your health, from gynecological issues, and every time kind of it reaches some more people, right? So that's what we are doing. Those are the ancillary activities that we do around the main cause. But eventually we want everybody in India to realize the importance of menstrual health and hygiene, why it has been kind of pushing women behind, and the whole women empowerment journey is incomplete till the time we handle this core issue, right? That's what we do. Simple steps. Yeah.
So Arun, you've mentioned that branding is very critical to engage all the stakeholders. Now, obviously, there's a lot of focus on collaborations to drive any objective to a larger audience and to better results. So, how have you been working on collaboration with different stakeholders, and what are your key insights on that?
So a pertinent question first of all. I think that's a weakness in the overall, sort of a weakness I see in the development sector is that people working on the same cause often do not collaborate. Pinkish is absolutely opposite. We strongly believe in corporate because somewhere the cause is more important. So over a period of time, we have built a lot of collabs with corporate companies. Like we have a collaboration with PNG, and PNG kind of supports us with educational material, with a lot of times sanitary pads that we wanted in Assam flood relief, and they kind of sent us a lot of stuff. We have a lot of partnerships with colleges. So every time we reached out to them and we said, if your students want to do internship, send them to us. We'll give them a good experience, and in the process that they'll kind of work with us. Then there are a lot of knowledge partners in the industry who kind of we are tied up with organizations because we are not traditionally from a development sector. We are not trained into that, right? We are doing things out of our passion, but kind of bringing the corporate skills, as you said. But then you need to learn the art. You need to learn everything, all the compliances that you need to kind of make and everything. So we have the whole organization. We regularly kind of keep on taking training and consultancy from them. A lot of schools and colleges. So there's a complete landscape. We have been able to successfully build a large landscape where, say, today if I have to kind of reach out to different parts of India and somebody comes to me and say, okay, I want to work in, like we are in 25 states now operating, right? Within 5 years, I think that's
a huge achievement.
Large achievement. I'm saying yes, we have been able to reach there because everywhere it needs a work and impact.
And you credit collaborations for
Credit
this.
collaboration, like last year Flipkart came to us. They wanted us to do something in South, right? And there we when we had to communicate with the girls, we wanted somebody, of course, from their own space who can actually talk to them in their own language. So we collaborated with somebody local, a local NGO, and they supported us. And these kind of collaborations make it larger, more impactful and bigger. Yes, collaborations are key. We have been doing it. We are building every day newer collaborations. So every day when somebody comes to us, people come to us with a lot of shyness and they say, will you be able to help us in this? And we don't have money to kind of pay to you. And we always say yes, right? It's yes. Let's some which way kind of make it happen in a way where there's a least amount of investment in terms of money, but then there's an earned effect. And I think that's a message to all the other non-profits also, the smaller ones, because a lot of these, I see a lot of new NGOs are coming, a lot of student-operated NGOs are coming, a lot of people from corporate sectors are also coming, and they also not coming with, as I said, the development sector experience and everything.
So then how do you ensure that the collaborations are usually mutually beneficial? Is there a particular formula to that?
There's no formula. The important formula is at the point when discussion itself, like when you do in a business negotiation, no, and you say, okay, what do you bring to the table, what do I bring to the table? So when somebody comes to us and they say, would you collaborate? And it happens to us every day. And we ask that question. First thing is yes, we want to collaborate. What do you bring to the table? And what do you want from us, right? So from there the discussion starts. So people start thinking in that direction that yes, a collaboration is collaboration of skills or something that you both bring together. So what do I bring to the table? What do you need from us? Then you'll also have to give something to us.
Right.
Now that something is not money always or most of the times. It can be something else. Like a lot of times students come to us and they say, can you give us some sanitary pads and we want to go to a community and we want to do something good about it. And we say, okay, we'll give you the sanitary pads, but then you'll have to do 5 more sessions in 5 different places. So you give me that and they are doing it. Right, but the thing is, eventually I'm happy that yes, not only at one location, now suddenly they have kind of worked for 6 locations and there also I'll help them. Okay. But eventually the impact is happening and we are happy about that.
Okay. So basically what I understand is that you have a very intense focus on saying yes to collaborations and then engaging in an exploratory exercise to figure out where you find synergies to help each other. So, but this is mostly from the perspective of people approaching you.
Yes.
Now, when you approach different stakeholders, be it corporates, be it other NGOs, what is your usual approach? Like, do you go with a vague idea to collaborate, or you pitch a very clear vision? Okay, these are the possible areas of collaboration.
So we never go vague. If we have to approach somebody, we always kind of make it absolutely clear that what are our asks, and before that, we kind of think of what are we going to give them.
Okay.
So I think in terms of reaching out to somebody, we clearly tell them what is it about. So even if I suppose I have to approach a corporate, right? I'll do some study of the corporate. I will understand what are the areas they support in. What are their core areas? Is gender, is education, this kind of things are there in their portfolio. and then we kind of approach them. We clearly go with what is the amount it will take, what is the story, what is the impact, how we'll keep them reporting about it, right? We also kind of share with them what are the other corporates, etc., who are supporting us because it's very important to them, right? But then we very clearly ask if this is our ask, this is what we want, but we, yes, of course, keep 2 or 3 or 4 different asks, right? On the budget spectrum, right? So I do not know whether this corporate has a budget of 50 lakhs, 25 lakhs, or 1 lakh, or even 10,000. Idea is for them to start working with us and take that cause into their causes, right? So we always mostly start small because nobody would start large with any organization. But we go to the larger organization when we see that the scope is there. We start small, right? And then we slowly build relationships. We kind of give them that whole experience. And the thing is, a lot of time, and this specifically has come to corporates, every time we go to a corporate, we also think, first thing is how their employees can get involved into this. It's not just about the money. Money is one part of it which comes at the last, right? But involving them holistically, right? Rather, I would say organizations who would just like to give me money and for me to do things and they're not involved in them, I don't think they would be my preferred organization. I will drop them, even to an extent. Because the idea is if you are really, if this is the call that you're taking, I'm not here only for money, right? Let's get involved, let's do more, let's create. So first of all, suppose there's an organization, large organization where there are 10,000 employees and I'm reaching out to them. My first intent is that each of these 10,000 employees can actually become my ambassadors. They can also, I can actually make them menstrual educators, they can also do certain things. I can help them change their practices also. I can actually get that organization also implement some practices within their organization, right? So for any non-profit, I believe when you start dealing with your partners, money is one part of it, but there's a lot of other things. Think about it, make a clear plan, clear asks also in terms of how they'll be able to kind of monitor everything, right? We make sure that there is an agility. So somebody says, okay, we'll be happy with the report in a quarter. We said that's too long a period. We'll give you a report in every week, right? We must have every time. So if a corporate is kind of giving me their CSR grants, I would demand that every month you need to have a meeting with us and review the progress. And sometimes they say, no, we're not interested. We trust you. I said, no, that doesn't work, right? Let's engage, see how it is going, let's see how the program can be made better if need be. And it's your involvement also.
Continuous feedback and improvement. Again, I am very corporate into, but I think we need to get more such practices to the social sector.
It is appreciated. And the thing is, you make a larger impact. And the corporates are about a lot of things. In the sense, the kind of skills they have got, I do not have them. The kind of people they have. So if I have to create a proposal, right? If I ask them, can you help with some resource who can actually give us some guidance with writing a proposal, that kind of help comes, and that is very, very critical. Okay, so we take all those helps also.
And I think when you involve the employees of the corporates also, one of your key missions is to spread awareness, and then you kind of create the triple effect.
Right.
And you also probably enroll more volunteers for your program.
Exactly. Because every volunteer which comes to you, you're not paying them anything, but they're making a huge contribution. So eventually something that otherwise needs to be invested. If that can be done that way, your demand, your ask from other people actually reduces. And Pinkish has been working that way. We try that we are a very frugal organization. We try and spend as little money on the administration, on the other things, and wherever resources help, we can actually seek from other people. We kind of utilize that so that everything that we do, everything that we collect in terms of money, that goes in the cause and goes to the beneficiary, right? So that we do not make our admin's cost large, which normally happens. A lot of time, there's a lot of travel. So suppose personally, if with a family I need to travel, maybe I'll stay in some kind of hotel, right? But for an NGO cause, when I go somewhere, I try that then we are very frugal. What kind of travel paths we are choosing, which hotel do we stay, how much less we can kind of make it happen, even for the directors, so that the money is kind of put into the right use.
So, I mean, that is why you have, I think, such a motivated volunteer force. And even today, you keep working on engaging more and more volunteers. So, one is managing the volunteers effectively. The other is actually constantly onboarding more volunteers so that, as you get more budgets to spend, you have more people on ground to implement it. So, how are you continuing to enroll and engage more volunteers? What is the current tools that you use to reach out to them?
So we are very greedy. We are very greedy for volunteers, right? So we always, everybody who somewhere from somewhere approaches us. Like we send newsletters out, right? We have a good social media presence. We use social media quite effectively, I would say. It can be much better, but then everything we do, we put it on social media. It reaches somewhere. People connect with us, and they connect with us, and immediately every volunteer who connects with us and who says, can I know about the organization? The top leadership gets involved. We just don't leave it to anybody else. We have a dialogue with them, and then we kind of tell them that this is where you can help, or this, or this, or this, or this, and something like that. Right? To the extent now, so even we start say getting some Google ads and those kind of fundings which Google provides to non-profits to use. Now, our idea is that we will soon be getting it, and we are already chalking program where we can utilize that money to attract volunteers to kind of join us and open our operations in multiple locations and do more and more, right? And eventually it kind of builds your numbers, that how much impact, because as a non-profit it's very important that you are able to tell your story nicely, what is the cause, people should be able to relate that, what impact you are causing. And every time a volunteer does something, your impact is actually increasing, right? So just be greedy about volunteers. I would say there's nothing bad.
So I think that's leveraging the civil society very effectively, and then we have the social sector. But there's another important pillar in developing the nation, that's the government. And the government, under its various plans and policies, the National Health Mission, so on and so forth, has been working to provide period products education to young girls, mothers, and families. In your experience, how impactful have the government programs and policies been in making an impact on this?
So there have been some great inroads which has been made, I would say. See, one of the biggest, one in every 5 girls, some few years back, used to kind of leave school as soon as they hit puberty, right? Their parents would take it out. Just imagine what was the situation. The situation was girls are going to the school where there's no toilet, or there's a toilet with no door, or there's a common toilet for boys and girls, right? If she has to change a pad, right, where would she do that? Okay. So one great thing which happened was that we built toilets in all the schools and everywhere. So girls have private spaces, and that kind of remarkably changes things, and all thanks to the government for making that happen. And it was a huge Herculean task, honestly, which I never thought I will see in my living life, right? Then there was this other thing where there were some hiccups initially, but the period taxes were removed, right? A great thing, and we must appreciate that. Okay, eventually they made a mistake, but somewhere they realized that it needs to be done. And I believe a few years back, under the National Health Mission, there was these discounted and free pads started being circulated in all the schools, etc. It was stopped for some time, if I'm not wrong, and it has been recently started when the central government is providing money to the state governments to kind of. I think more and more that needs to happen. Sanitary pads is an essential product, and because of the pricing and everybody. People have not been kind of adopting to it, and that is leading to a health crisis in a lot of ways, which is happening, which is heartening, but a lot more needs to be done. I think one of the primary things that need to be done, one side is the accessibility of these products, other side is the conversation and education, right? I very strongly would want and urge if any government official is learning. So we have all these schools, we have subject on menstruation, but that's a skipped chapter. right? Teachers are also not comfortable talking about menstruation in classes,
Yes,
right?
because they don't know how to talk about the
They don't
subject.
know, they are shy about it,
Yeah.
there's no conversation around it, and that's the huge problem. See, honestly, if yeah, we would want everybody to have sanitary pads. But then, even if somebody is really not able to afford it, and they can use a cloth in a nice way, in a hygienic way, and they know about it, yes, slowly and slowly they can graduate. Right? From sanitary pads, menstrual cups, reusable pads, tampons, and other whatever products that they choose for themselves. Right? Every product has some great strength, and there are some limitations with everything. Right? But the important thing is knowledge, because in India, because of an age-old customs and everything, women do not talk about menstruation. Men are just not aware about menstruation, and because of which, and we have a lot of doctors on our panel, absolute wonderful gynecologists, right, who tell us that women, when they reach them and they have reproductive tract infections or things like that, they will come at the worst possible stage. Right? When for the doctors also it's easy because they're not comfortable going to a doctor, they're not comfortable telling to their husbands, right? Mothers do not tell the girls at the right stage. And just imagine a young girl, it always gives me that huge burden thinking about it, who is 11 years old. Suddenly, nobody has told us, and she starts. She noticed that she's bleeding from her private parts. What a scary, scary thought! And that's what we talk to the girls and they tell us. So the education must focus on sexual education, menstrual health and hygiene. And I think this is what the government should really do. Start a large campaign.
Maybe put it as a part of curriculum in the books itself. So even if the teacher doesn't teach, you can at least read it.
Which is there, which needs to improve a lot more.
Yeah, more comprehensive.
Yes.
Like, a lot of girls still use rags.
Right.
How to take care of it hygienically, how to wash it thoroughly, or how to take care, boil it in water, whatever steps are required from a medical perspective.
Yes.
All of that education is lacking.
Yes, and I think more with respect, that is one part of it. The second part of it is periods need to be normalized in the sense that everybody should be able to talk about it. Just imagine, right? Let's say my family, we are going on a road trip to somewhere. So let's say Jaipur. We somewhere stop at a dhaba and we want to have lunch there, right? Everybody will say, okay, we are going to the females will go to the female washrooms, the gents will go to their part. Everybody knows why they are going. When it comes to menstruation, it's the same body parts. But then everything would be a hush-hush. Nobody will tell, even in the corporate, even in the urban, everybody would want to hide that. That needs to go off because this is a huge limiting factor for the women, whether from an urban sector or from a rural sector, whether be in corporates, and that requires conversation. And when it's about conversation, a lot of, like we had one pad bank film, a lot more films can come up. Government can do some trials in the schools, NGOs can be adopted, the school teachers can be trained, which will change the landscape. Right.
So campaign and curriculum from the government is what you
absolutely.
So you mentioned how volunteers have been one of your biggest strengths and you've been able to harness the best out of the volunteer resources that you have by giving them clear responsibilities and also by defining a clear growth path for them within the organization in terms of bigger responsibilities and
so still not a lot of people are working on it. There are people who have started working on it. There are organizations like us, a lot of student organizations are coming up, and even there are large level alliances which have been forming. And there has been an overall global need which has been identified to kind of do that. There's a lot of work happening in Africa, in India, and other nations. But a lot more needs to be done. This is, I call menstruation the longest running pandemic in the world. Why? Because since the time immemorial, when the first human came, menstruation was there, and since then we have not been able to normalize that. Right? What other disease or any pandemic has kind of can match that, right? And that needs to be corrected. So the great thing is that effort has started happening. The urban population, the youth is kind of picking up this topic and kind of bringing it forward, making small efforts. People are going, educating and all that. There's representations to the government to kind of do more on it. There's a lot more research which is happening, even in terms of the quality of sanitary napkins which are kind of going out, and the correlation with the people's health and all that. So I see this now that it's reached that stage where it's irreversible, right? It's just that when are we able to get the right government attention to be able to, because this impacts everybody, right? Half of our population, right? It needs to kind of be done at a larger scale. There have to be national level programs that need to be mounted. Government needs to come out with additional funding specifically for this cause, right? It's a matter of time, but it will happen. A lot of work has started in the sense like we talked about the sanitary pads. There are a lot of schools we have kind of put in the incinerators and the sanitary pad vending machines. I go to corporates now. I'm in the ladies' toilet. I ask somebody to actually go and check it every time I go to corporate. They've started putting up the sanitary pads, putting up the vending machines. So that process has started. It has now kind of taken that speed where it can't be reversed. It's a matter of time, and I hope that our government kind of understands this issue and starts doing what needs to be done at a national landscape in a larger way. But we'll see remarkable change. One thing I will also tell you is, so we always kind of, so the data till 2016 that we had, and the data that recently kind of the government came out in 2021, in 5 years, there's a remarkable upswing. There's a remarkable upswing. Now, around 71% of girls in the age bracket of say 15 to 25 have access to sanitary pads, and they're using it. Just 5 years back, it was not there. And this is because of these large missions like the toilets that we created everywhere, the education, the movies. And I'm very hopeful that we will kind of, like we eradicated polio, I think we will be able to normalize menstruation and end period poverty in another 10-15 years. We can do it faster if the government decides to try and do it today. And they'll just disperse.
Right.
So I think the biggest reason is that if you are true to the cause, and then the people, because they are watching you all the time, they're seeing every single activity, they can read everything, whatever you believe, you can't fool people, nobody can.
Definitely.
Right? They'll learn it, they'll see it, they'll decipher, they'll make their own impressions, and if you're doing the right thing, those who want to those who are passionate about this cause, they'll stay with you.
And I think, like you mentioned, that you pay a lot of attention to also skilling your volunteers.
So one thing is the whole world struggles with this, right? Of course, there's a remarkable difference between the developed nations and the developing nations. So whether it's the African subcontinent, whether it's Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, countries like ours, we are heavily populated. There's a huge social diversity in terms of economic resources and everything, in terms of education and all that. Our problem is huge. Like in India, we have 355 million menstruators, right? And they struggle with this problem. Our 70% population is still not using safe menstrual products, right? So and that is the reason we need to kind of focus it more. Other nations, it is now the developed nation, it is the smaller problem. Some individuals and those who are kind of pushing it, doing it, but having said that, still an international problem. Organizations like Wash United, right? They are globally kind of pushing this agenda, asking governments in every nation to kind of put in more investments. United Nations to kind of take this as an important goal that we met. So there's a lot of those things which are happening. Initial stages, we have already kind of, there's a lot of research also which different organizations have been doing it, which is now out, right? Because now we have the data, we are able to track that data. A lot more needs to be done. Something that you said, I think, is so essential that it needs to start from the family. I think this is not a subject that we need to kind of wait for somebody to come and do certain things the government needs to do. Simple things in a family. A father, if he's listening to us, he can today decide that he will talk to his wife and he'll kind of talk to his daughter or people around him. A manager who is in an office, he needs to understand this, and he needs to understand that the female colleagues or the staff that he has with, they when they are on periods, he needs to just sensitize himself. And in today's world, you can do it from the internet. Ask us, we'll be able to kind of help you and send some resources. And the fact of make, understand, appreciate, make their lives comfortable. It is also the responsibility of the corporate sector to just look into their own offices. Do they have period-friendly offices? Do they have a simple thing like a sanitary pad vending machine installed in their washrooms? Do they provide free sanitary pads? Do they have a policy of menstrual leaves? Are their managers and men and employees sensitized? And these are simple things. Are there separate dustbins in the female washrooms for sanitary pads? Because it's kind of considered solid waste, but it's a combination of a solid waste and it has a lot of plastic in it. And then there's a human blood in it, and it needs to be kind of handled separately. And these are simple steps which can happen. So families, the corporate world, at an individual level, we start doing it because ultimately it is for the benefit of ourselves, people around us, and in the whole process. Like we have a project, I like to talk about it, Kagas Ke Pad. So there what we do is we go to residential societies and we say just give us 1 or 2 volunteers from here, right? Let's make the society aware through the WhatsApp groups, because everywhere we have WhatsApp groups and things. And if people can just donate their newspapers, old newspapers every month, and if just few families does it, with that selling those newspapers, whatever money that we get, that society, the resident society will use it themselves for the women around working in those in that residential complex, the housemaids, the press wallies, the gardeners,
Right.
and if they can kind of every month give them the sanitary pads free of cost, they can conduct a session for them. Maybe collect some money and install on the main gate a sanitary pad vending machine and just give a guard a responsibility that any maid can actually write her name, press a button and can take that sanitary pad out, and the whole money is coming from the society just by, and we are not asking anybody to give money even a single rupee. Just give your old newspapers, 50 रुपए के महीने के आते हैं, सोसाइटी में अगर 2-2.5-3 हजार रुपए भी कलेक्ट हो जाते हैं हर महीने, it can take care of a lot of women. But the important thing is that message will pass to everybody, all the residents, because urban areas we do not talk about, but there also the taboo is huge, right? We did a large survey in some 1100 urban schools across 400 cities a couple of years back, and we realized the best of the schools, right? And I cannot name anything, but the thing is, while they're doing something, some of the schools are kind of making sure that the students are trained, they are sensitized, there are those sessions which happen, but they're not enough. Most of them are not doing it, and boys are just not covered into them, right? And there's a huge problem with respect to normalizing periods. And the schools can start doing things if principals are listening to it. Please talk to your teachers. Please make sure it doesn't take any money. That some teachers are trained, and if you need our help, we'll kind of educate them, and there's no charges for that, right? And they can train every girl in their school. If you do that in your school, it's a wonderful step that you take. Please take the initiative, right? Around know us for menstrual health and hygiene. So that's our number one cause, that's our flagship project, that's what we do. When we started, we thought this is a subject maybe everybody will not kind of synchronize with, resonate with. What do we do? So we have other programs, like we have a community care, where we do a lot of good things, and there's something called a Punya Galasha project, where we ask people just to share a good deed that they did whenever. So even if you are kind of in your balcony, you are putting some water for a bird, we kind of help them, we clap for that, and they feel good about it, they share. So I'll give you a 10 years vision.
Okay.
Right? So we are here to kind of end period poverty once and for all, like we kind of fought with malaria or polio or things like that. So one of the ways that we have thought that we can make it possible in a sustainable way. See, currently what happens is today, suppose I'm going to some locality or our volunteers, and we are educating some 100 women, girls in a school or in a slum. Most number of girls are getting born every day, right? Girls are hitting puberty. schools can be the primary center. Our idea is in the next 10 years, if from every school, if we are able to educate one teacher, sensitize her and make her a menstrual educator, and if she takes the responsibility of say educating girls in her school, so just imagine if we have just say 1 lakh teachers who are made certified menstrual educators in the next 10 years, and each one of them trains some 200 girls every year. We are talking of 2 crore girls every year whom we can teach and train and sensitize. If we do that, that is the number of almost the number of girls who hit puberty every year in India. And if we just focus on the young generation, the current generation, just the girls in the age bracket of 10, 11, 12, and when they are getting their, before they are getting their periods, or even if they have just started getting their periods, we educate them then and there and very openly, and we tell them this is nothing to be shy about. Our next generation after 10 years, we just not know that menstruation ever was a taboo. Right? Like we have not seen dinosaurs, they will not see the dinosaur of a taboo associated with menstruation, and they will take it very normally. Once they take it very normally, they will take care of their bodies, whether it's a cloth, whether it's a sanitary pad, a menstrual cup, they'll be able to do that. We need to enable that. And I think government of India has all the resources, money, power, the whole network to be able to do that. They just need to understand the importance of the cause, give them some backing, utilize people like us who are passionate about it and doing it. There are a lot of those people. And I think we can change the complete landscape without even involving a lot of money in this.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us today, Arun, in this conversation. And thank you to our venue sponsor, Crystal Hughes, and our decor partner, Harmony Overseas.